Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Symbol, and today I'm going to be giving you part 7 of What If Naruto had the adapting ability like Doomsday. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, I post a brand new series over on Anime King 2 of What If Naruto fused with the 12-tailed dragon god. So go ahead, check out that, and yeah, enjoy. And remember, for new, yes, I indeed have 4 channels, which I post What If on every single day. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we leap right into this brand new episode? Let's begin now, guys. So, the last part we left off, Kiba was rather angry, as Naruto was plainly making him looking like an idiot. Given their last interaction, Kiba was not happy to see him here, and he decided to attack, which was a big mistake on his part, as Naruto was not one for holding back that much, as he sent Kiba sailing away rather hard. However, Kiba had quickly recovered as he returned back to the initiative of trying to take Naruto down. However, Kurenai arrived on the scene, stopping them from going any further, as she explained to her students why Naruto was here and that he was now a part of the village. Kiba was not a big fan of that, but there was nothing that he could do about it. Things became a lot more worse for him as he realized his mom was there. Not just his mother though, all of the clan heads were there to witness Naruto Uzumaki in action. Kakashi Hatake was going to be the one to test him, as everyone was curious to see how this was going to play out. Tsunade decided to make a little wager against them. Many of them believed that Kakashi would be the one coming out on top in this battle. However, Tsunade knew better from what she had seen with her own eyes, and she knew who would be winning this battle. So with that, said battle began. Kakashi was going over taijutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, trying to see where Naruto would show and where he would not. However, to his utter surprise, Naruto had a higher level of surpassing him than he thought, and the more the match dragged on, the more he saw that the child was probably even stronger than him at this age, as Naruto showed him that the both of them clash. Even Hayashi, he's not known for being one that would bet in these scenarios, but he believed that it was a sure win by betting on Kakashi, which turned out to be one of his worst mistakes ever, as Naruto quickly turned the tide of the battle as he started to adapt and increase. Not even Kakashi fighting style was able to hold Naruto back, as Naruto was attacking with such a ferocity. The Jonin had to use larger steps as he charged his Chidori. Naruto's hand was covered in lightning as he manipulated raw lightning. When the both of them made collision, Kakashi's hand was a mess. Tsunade went over there to heal him up. Naruto had been the one standing. The clan heads were shocked. Tsunade was all smiles. The members were discussing after that. He definitely was worth the title of Jonin. That is when Danzo break the news that the girl was a Yuki. One of the last members to be quite exact. Now that was a rather surprising piece of information to have. The members start to talk quick. The elders believe in that she should be placed in the CRA Act. Naruto was confused, not quite understanding what that meant. However, Haku caught on to what they were saying. As Naruto saw the look on her face, he was furious. He did not hesitate as he tried to kill the both of them, sending a spike right to their skull. Danzo was the one that stepped forward and blocked the attack, as Naruto would retaliate, but Hiruzen stopped him from doing so. He told them that if they tried to touch Haku, he would murder every single one of them. And that was a promise. With that, he took Haku's hand as the both of them made their way off. Hiruzen was not pleased with the members, as they had to go and run their mouth like that just when he was trying to build something with Naruto. Tsunade went to check up on him, as she was able to calm him down somewhat. At the end of the night, we find him and Haku. They were sitting on top of the monument, talking, and Haku really wanted to know something, how he truly felt about her. She got it out of him, as Naruto was not one to really express or truly understand emotions. However, he told her how he felt, and that made her incredibly happy. Yes, it made her so happy, as the both of them shared a kiss. Yes, something that was not the first time. It had happened before. She had been the one to initiate it back then, but this time, he was the one to initiate it. Let alone to say that she was immensely happy. After that, Hiruzen made his promise a reality, as he stepped in front of all the people of Konoha and made the big announcement on who has returned back home, the son of one of their greatest leaders. It was a truly shocking development. As Naruto was now walking through the streets, people were looking at him constantly, some even smiling, some waving, greeting him with great respect, now that they knew, it seems, which Naruto did not like in the slightest. But he had promised to the old man that he would not retaliate against them unless they retaliate against him. Even the news of the Nine Tails was out, and the younger generation now knew about it. Sasuke now understood why he was so strong. Well, he thought it was that. The news spread through the elemental nation like a wildfire about the return of Minato Namikaze's son. Oniki found out about it not too long after. However, he decided to let this one go, as starting a war between the two nations right now would only lead to more bloodshed. The man was getting old and thinking about the future of his nation, and what was going to happen was something that he did not desire. However, Orochimaru used this as his advantage. He used this greatly, as he was able to pressure Raza into joining him to bringing Konoha down to its knees. We then skip to Kurama, who was residing in Naruto. Kurama had been rather secretive about his involvement, his reason to help Naruto, and he released a bit of information. It turns out that he knew what Naruto was. His father, which was a sage of sixth path, had told him many things about what this boy was now. And it turns out that the reason why Naruto was this way was all Kurama's fault. The both of them were connected. That is why he had told Naruto to relax when he was losing his mind in anger, because Kurama knew the true danger that the world has to face if this boy was to ever lose his ambition, to ever lose the hope of controlling himself. This whole world would burn. So yeah guys, basically that's what left off. You guys can switch across the play of yourself. So as we begin this new episode, we begin this new episode with Suizan. Suizan was a tall man with dark green hair, black beady eyes. At the moment, his whole body was in fluctuation, oozing with raw, uncontainable power. He was a former ninja of the village, hidden in the waterfall. where he had defected from some time ago. And now he was back to conquer said village that he believed should be rightfully under his grasp, that he should rule, standing for years at the side of the leader. He was even given the task to train the leader's son. The leader's son was named Shibuki. His father had died, and now he was next in line. However, Suizan believed that Shibuki was not up to the task. He was not strong enough. He was weak. And he returned to rule over the village and finally take what he desired. And he did. He had just drank the hero's water, something that is said to give ninjas an exponential boost in their physical forms, passing expectations and limitations. Right now he was pulsating with a smile on his face. He felt unstoppable. He truly could not describe the power that was flowing through him. Shibuki was on the ground in pain as he lost. He just tried to fight, but he lost. He was weak. He was not as strong as his father. He had no right leading a village. He felt pathetic. He heard something behind him. The person was scoffing. "Is that all you can do?" the person said, sounding disappointed. Shibuki glanced up. Standing there was a boy, younger than him. He was perhaps 13 or 14 years old. He was actually the one that had accompanied him to get back home. His name was Naruto, a recently promoted Jonin of the Hidden Leaf, but not just any Jonin. He was a son of the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze. Hiruzen started Naruto off on some small missions. Never expected one of them to go this crazy, as Naruto was the sole guardian and protector of this man to get to his village. Things went chaotic so quickly. Lucky thing though, Naruto did not left after the mission was completed, as he heard the explosions. When he was going to return back home, Naruto stood there with his arms folded. He had been here the entire time, watching. Shibuki was happy that he was still here, knowing never to judge someone by their age. "I need your help," he said to Naruto. However, what followed was truly a shock. No. He was baffled to hear that. What? He said with a shocked look on his face. "I said no," said Naruto, as he stood there, his fur around his neck, and also, he was wearing a white coat, something that was not his choice. Haku had picked it out for him, but she knew what he would like. It had no sleeve, it was sleeveless, and it was open at the front. His headband was sewed into the top half, personally done by her, because he did not want to wear anything around his head or neck. He was dressed in black pants, and he was also wearing footwear as well. However, Naruto had just turned down the offer to help an ally of their village. Shibuki was shocked to hear that. "You're pathetic," said Naruto, further shocking the man. "I thought when your father died you were supposed to be the one to take this village and rule it, and yet here you are, willing to give up that easily. Do you have no honor, no pride?" Naruto said, finding the man's attitude really pathetic. "You idiot," Shibuki said, clenching his fists. "He's stronger than me. He drank the hero water. I can't win." "That does not matter. Giving up like that, what would your father think? Knowing that you just let his village to be overrun and controlled by these scums." Suizan spoke up. "I don't know who the hell you are, but speak about me and my people like that again, and I'll kill you." However, Naruto did not even look his way as he reached down and grabbed Shibuki and picked him up. "Think about your father and what he would think for you allowing this to happen. It doesn't matter if you don't have what it takes. you should still fight. And never bow your head. And never give up, especially when you're the one in charge. So, I'm not going to help you. If you want to defend your village, you're gonna have to fight. Because I surely know that a lot of the people here will not bow down to this guy and he's going to kill them. Is that what you want? Do you want him to kill your people? Of course not, Shibuki shouted. Then do something, said Naruto. Shibuki was hit with a lot of memories. Him and his father. His father teaching him, raising him, guiding him to be the next leader, to protect, serve, and to keep his people safe. He then thought about Fu as well. She was not here at the moment. He couldn't let her down. He couldn't let anyone down. His gaze snapped up as he steadied himself on his feet. Suizan scoffed. You would really listen to the word of a child and fight against me? You fool. You cannot win. It doesn't matter. Shibuki said, you might have been my teacher once, but you're not anymore. And I refuse to hand my father's hard work over to you for you to just go and destroy it. Suizan laughed. You utter miserable fool. With the power that is flowing through me right now, I can crush you with a thought. Shibuki stepped forward, going through hand sign as a blade, created from pure water, formed in his hand. I'll give it all I got. Naruto stood there and watched as both men clashed against each other. Shibuki really put his heart and soul into it, screaming out with his frustration and power to keep his village safe, to keep his people protected. However, it was still not enough. Suizan had the added advantage of the hero water on his side, and he overpowered Shibuki. Shibuki collapsed down to his knees. He was panting heavily, exhausted. However, the defiant look in his eyes, they never faded. I could have let you live and stand by my side as it was once in the past. But you refuse to see things my way now, Suizan said. So now you die. Shibuki watched as a blade of water was coming down towards his face. His life was going to end. I'm sorry. He set out for his people. However, he felt no pain. None at all. He opened his eyes as someone was standing in front of him. The white coat was the first thing that caught his gaze. You, he said, surprised. I thought you said. I said I wouldn't help you because you gave up that easily. However, you gave it your all, and that is something I can respect. As for you, said Naruto. I warned you, Suizan said. He drove his fist into Naruto's face. Boom! However, Naruto did not budge. Not even an inch. Suizan was confused because he was the one that felt pain in his arm. Naruto reached and grabbed his wrist with a water blade and crushed it. Suizan screamed. Naruto raised his leg and kicked him in the chest. Suizan bounced off the ground at least several times before he crashed into the gigantic tree. Suizan was breathing heavily, in agonizing pain. How? How could he be done like this? In just one attack? Shibuki heard something as he turned to see all of his men arriving. You're here, he said, as a few of them started to help him up. You defeated them. Not alone, sir. The numbers were overwhelming, and it would have taken us longer to get here. But, wait, he's here. The man said, cutting himself off. What are you talking about? Shibuki said. It's him. He was the one that handled the rest of them by himself. Despite their numbers, spreading through our village, trying to distract us, because they weren't as large as us in quantity. But he got rid of them. A large portion, with ease. Shibuki turned his gaze towards Naruto, who was walking towards the now injured man. From just one attack. Who the hell are you? Suizan said in rage. What are you? Naruto smiled as he stepped forward. I'm the one that's gonna beat the living shit out of you, he said. Here I come. Naruto gave him a fair warning. The next moment Naruto was in front of him and shoulder tackled him. The place was torn apart. The ground exploded. The force that Naruto came down with was beyond what anyone would have expected. Suizan was then sent into the air. Naruto arrived behind him as he drove both of his hands into his back. A cracking sound could be heard as Naruto broke the man's spine. He wasn't done yet though as he grabbed him by the shoulder and pulled him up before he sunk his fist into his face. All of his teeth seemed to explode out of his mouth. He came down like a missile. Boom! He slammed into the earth. Naruto landed as he dusted his clothing off. He started to walk forward when water started to gather and converge. Suizan was coughing up blood and at the same time pulling all the water towards him. I refuse to die like this. I'm going to kill you, he said. With one attack, I'll eviscerate you. I'll wipe you from the face of the earth. He used the excess water to keep himself upright. As he turned his hand towards Naruto, goodbye, he yelled, releasing the water. The force was titanic. It came slamming down on Naruto with a tremendous amount of force. It sent the ground down at least 4 levels. The pressure was immense. This would have normally shattered any other human bone and broke them down. However, when the water cleared away, most of it that is, Naruto could be seen climbing up as he stood on top of it. His body was soaked from head to toe. Steam started to rise up off him as his body started to heat up. Suizan was shocked. He couldn't even say the words. Everyone was shocked, not just him. Naruto tanked the attack like it was nothing. His body was dried in a matter of seconds, his clothing as well. That is when Naruto noticed something had ripped his shirt. His eyes turned murderous. Haku bought me this. He snapped his gaze towards Suizan and vanished. The next moment Naruto was in front of him and Suizan saw a fist coming towards him. Everything seemed to vanish, sight and sound at once. Suizan no longer felt any pain, as he felt his life slowly slipping away from him. The punch that Naruto gave him shook the very air itself, because he was pissed. Suizan's body was knocked 10 feet under. When the ninjas rushed towards where he collided with the earth, his head had been cleanly blown off his body with one hit. Naruto landed. As he walked forward, Shibuki was baffled. He had heard the rumors, many saying that this boy was going to be one of the strongest, many saying that he was already so powerful it was insane for a child. And from witnessing it with his own eyes, Shibuki had to say he had what it takes to carve his name into the legend book and be one of them, one of the legends. And there was no joking about that. Time skip. Naruto was standing in the Hokage's office after another mission completed, as he was informing the man about what happened, the surprise attack, and what happened afterwards. He says that he wants to be my friend, and he wasted majority of my time introducing me to several people. and someone that he was rather close to, known as Fu. Hiruzen looked at Naruto. This is not a bad thing, Naruto. Actually, it's a great thing. For your clan to be associated with a leader of a village. Trust me, it would be a great thing in the coming future, Hiruzen said, with a smile on his face. However, Naruto did not seem happy or pleased in the slightest. Well, that's over with now. And about these missions, all they're doing is just wasting my time, he said. You've seen what I can do. You know that I can go on much more dangerous missions. What was the point of giving me this Jonin status if you're gonna send me on boring missions like these? Tell you what, Hiruzen said. I'll start to increase the flow of the missions that I send you on. However, I'm going to take you off mission duty for a week. And before you start to complain, you must have noticed the other ninjas piling into the village. What about them, said Naruto. The upcoming Chunin exams is coming in a few days, and I want you to be involved in the exams. Mainly, the second round, he said. Usually, within the exams, there are certain external forces, or sometimes internal forces, that try to corrupt or manipulate or change the outcome of certain teams. I want you to be in the force and make sure that no one break the rules and get any help from any outside forces. And if they try to, said Naruto, well, it would be up to you to bring them out. Alive, of course. But defend yourself as much as you need to, as long as you bring them out alive to face the consequences of their action. As Naruto thought about it, fine, he said. As long as you keep to your word and increase my mission flow, he said. Of course, Hiruzen said. He dismissed Naruto soon after. Things has been going well now for the past couple of weeks. For one thing, Naruto's name has been spreading in and out of the village. Almost everyone knew about him now. This has raised a lot of questions, and a lot has been answered, but some has been left unanswered. Even questions has been raised about Haku as well. She was the last member, the last Yuki member. That was a rare oddity amongst itself. She had been taken on by Tsunade as a student. She was not the only one, but she was excelling greatly. The girl had excellent chakra control. She had to, given how she manipulated ice, merging both of her elements together despite her bloodline. She had wonderful control, and Tsunade said that she was a prodigy in medical ninjutsu. She learned extremely fast and quick. She was getting the hang of everything that she was teaching her. Things were going wonderfully in the village right now, and Hiruzen couldn't help but smile. However, his thoughts on the upcoming exam, it was forming this pit in his stomach, a pit that he does not like in the slightest. Meanwhile, as Naruto was making his way home, several people were greeting him on the streets. He remembered what Haku said about acting better towards people. He waved back. He refused to smile though. He greeted them back, and that somehow made them happy. Human emotions are really strange, he thought. He experienced them just like any other, but he definitely did not act this way. Naruto made his way home. The more he walked, the more people were gazing at him, staring. Even children ran up to him, greeting him before they ran off. Naruto rolled his eyes as he made his way, as he arrived home, only to find people in his yard. As he raised an eyebrow at that, "Who the hell are you people?" said Naruto. There was a girl with pink hair, and another one with blonde hair. The both of them turned towards him. "You don't remember me," Sakura said. This was not the first time she was meeting him. "Why should I?" "Because we've met on multiple occasions," she said to him. "That doesn't answer my question. Why are you in my yard?" said Naruto. "Haku invited us." "What?" said Naruto. "Yes. Your girlfriend, Haku, invited us," Ino said, testing the waters to see what he was going to say. However, he did not acknowledge what she said. Haku? Haku, he called out, making his way. Haku heard Naruto as she came downstairs, fetching what she went after. Naruto, you're home, she said, a smile on her face. Why are those people in my yard? Naruto said, they're a part of the medical program that I'm doing, and we've became friends. I invited them over. Why are you mad, she asks. I'm not. Do I look mad, he said to her. Well, you're giving off that vibes, she said to him. I told you, if you smile more, you will give off a completely different vibes. And I told you, smiling at people make you look like an idiot. It does not, she said. Look, as she smiled at him. Well, you're different, said Naruto. As he started to walk, I'm going to take a shower, he said. I had a really long, annoying day. He stopped right beside her as he leaned forward and kissed her right on the lips. As he made his way off, Haku blushed as she turned and watched him, made his way upstairs. Well, it seemed things are serious. Haku turned as Ino was standing there. So you're both not just friends? Well, I never said that, Haku said to her. I know, but you never said anything about him either. I can see why you're into him. He's super hot, and I gotta say, I like his tough guy attitude. Where are we going with this? Haku said to her. Don't worry, Ino said. I'm not gonna try to steal him from you or anything. Friends don't do that to one another. Oh, of course, Haku said. I smiled like Ino. After all, it would never work. Ino raised an eyebrow at that. And why wouldn't it? I mean, you have seen me, right? She said, with a smile on her face. Yes, I have. But as I said, it wouldn't work. And besides, even if by some crazy chance it did, I would have to kill you, Haku said, her eye smile still on her face. No, that scared the living crap out of Ino. How cool she said it, and yet it was so dangerous. Point taken, said Ino as they made their way outside, where Sakura was. Haku never had girlfriends before. She had to say, it was really nice. She also needed their help to invite a few of their guy friends over, so they could become friends with Naruto. She knew that he said that he does not care about friendship and all of that, but it was a really good thing. Time skip. After his shower, Naruto came back downstairs. He was dressed in a black cloak this time, with his fur still around his neck. He was wearing black shorts and bare feet. As he saw Haku standing there, he could tell that something was wrong. She seemed nervous. What's wrong? He said to her. Okay, she said, raising her hands. I need you to be perfectly calm, okay? I did something. You did something, said Naruto. Yeah, she said to him. Something that I think will be great for you. Naruto looked over her shoulder as he could see people moving. It wasn't just the two girls that were here before. He walked past her as she went behind him. Naruto paused as there were several people now in his yard. He turned his gaze towards Haku as she grabbed both sides of his face. It's a really good thing to have friends. I know you say you could do without this, but I think it's gonna be beneficial in the long run. She could feel his face twitching as she held on to him, knowing what his response would be. Someone walked up and spoke. So this is your house, huh? The person said, looking around. Well, I'm not that impressed. Naruto turned as he looked towards none other than Kiba. Naruto had no recollection of his name though. Kiba, I told you to be nice. It was Ino that chastised him. Kiba released a heavy breath. Fine, he said. Hey, let's start over. I am Kiba Inuzaka, he said. You are a comrade of the Hidden Leaf now. And as much as I hate to say, my superior, Kiba said, grunting those words out. And I was told that we should start over. That you wanted to make amends. Naruto looked towards Haku. Just go with it, she whispered. Naruto gripped Kiba's hand as he applied a tremendous amount of force. Kiba felt it as he started to feel a pain, but it was a competition to see if he would bow out, and he quickly realized that. He started to apply his own force, but it was still not enough to gain the upper hand, as he was almost on one knee until Haku told Naruto to release him, which he did. I might be a genin, but soon enough, I'll be a jonin as well, and even stronger than you. You can count on that, Kiba said. When hell freezes over, said Naruto. So it's a challenge you want? Fine then, Kiba said. It's a challenge you will get. He had a challenging smile on his face. Well, that went better than I thought, Haku said to Naruto, as the rest of them, including Choji, Shino, and the others, were currently making their way. Ino was the one behind this. Sasuke refused to come, as Sakura had told him about it. When Naruto saw Sai, his gaze almost killed him. But Haku had forgiven Sai for the aggression the second time they met, and he thought that they were the enemy. Time skip. Team 7 was making their way. Kakashi had summoned all of them. As the group had met up, they already figured what he had called them for. Given the upcoming exams, they figured that was the case. That was until they heard something. The three kids were playing until they bumped into someone, causing this whole interaction. Turning the corner, they saw a few sand ninjas hassling a few kids of their village. Konohamaru was being held up by Kankuro. This chomped Team 7 to enter into the fray, which led to a bravado contest between the two, mostly Kankuro and Sasuke. Sasuke was feeling a bit down lately in his overall strength and skills since the special Jonin arrived. Given the fact that Naruto was their age and already a Jonin, Sasuke was kinda furious about that. So this was his chance to show everyone up. Yes, that is why he went into this a bit more aggressive than he should have, which caused him and Kankuro to caught up in a scandal, which almost led to a fight until Naruto was walking by and decided to check out the loud sounds. He was going to meet someone. It was going to be the proctor of the second exam. She was known as Anko Midarashi. As Naruto had heard the commotion when he came to see the Sand and Konoha ninjas. What's going on here, he said. When Sasuke looked up, he instantly frowned. Temari blinked. Why was all the guys in Konoha so hot, she thought. Another one, huh? Kankuro said. Fine then. I'll just take the both of you down, he said, raising what was on his back. Naruto looked at him as he tilted his head. Are you trying to cause trouble within the village? Oh, don't worry, Kankuro said. I'm just putting you Konoha ninjas in your place. Naruto was gone, surprising them. He appeared behind Kankuro and grabbed his hand that was on his puppet. Temari blinked in shock. So fast, she thought, as she reached for her fan. Try it, and I'll snap his arm, and yours will be next, said Naruto, his gaze fixated on her. She felt a tinge of fear, with his slitted, unusual eyes looking at her, like an animal looking at their prey. Kankuro tried to move, but Naruto's hand had gripped onto his shoulder with such force, his body had stiffened up and he could not even move. He could not even raise torso. Now let me ask once again, are you trying to cause trouble within the village? Naruto said. Sasuke was about to say something, that Naruto should get the hell out of here, that he had this. However, Kankuro, someone spoke up. Kankuro felt even more fear than what he was feeling now. Are you disgracing our village name, he said. The redhead above Sasuke. Sasuke looked up with shock on his face. He didn't even sense him. What the hell? Naruto's gaze had turned towards Gaara, who flashed away. As he appeared in front of the group, Naruto's grip released just a bit, allowing Kankuro to jump away. It wasn't my fault. He quickly said, Enough. Gaara said in a dangerous tone, quieting him instantaneously as he looked directly into Naruto's eyes. Damn it, this is bad, Temari thought, as she glanced towards his boy. There wasn't even a budge. There wasn't even a flicker of fear. He was looking directly at Gaara. Gaara's bloodlust started to release on its own. It was the fact that someone was looking directly into his eyes, without any sign of fear at all. Something that was unusual. There was always fear. Always someone knowing that they were doomed when they saw him, but this was not the case. Naruto was unaffected, nor did he seem to care in the slightest who he was. Who are you? Said Gaara. Tch. Naruto scoffed as he turned. Learn to introduce yourself before asking for someone else's name. Gaara took a moment as he was quiet until he decided to speak. I'm Gaara of the desert, he said. Now who are you? Naruto turned to look towards him. I am Naruto Uzumaki, he said. Naruto wasn't a big fan of the Namikaze name. It didn't matter if some people called him that, but he always introduced himself as Naruto Uzumaki. It didn't matter who he was around. As Temari and Kankuro were shocked. So this is him. They heard about him. The recently returned son of Minato Namikaze. He was a big news right now. That is why. This guy's no joke, Temari thought, as she saw his speed. Well, she didn't see it per se, but the fact that he was able to catch up so quickly was truly shocking. Gaara looked towards Naruto. He was smiling. His smile turned into a bloodlust. A bloodlusted one. Will you be in the exam? He asked. No, said Naruto. Gaara was surprised to hear that. Now take your teammates and leave immediately, said Naruto. Gaara did not budge. I said leave. Your friend here has been causing a hassle. I wouldn't want to punish him for that. Gaara simply smiled. Let's go, he said. I will meet you soon again, Naruto Uzumaki. He was smiling as he walked off. He seemed rather happy, but Naruto did not care. I had that handle, you know, Sasuke said towards Naruto. Naruto turned towards him. As Sasuke thought, there was a tense stare-off happening between them, but Naruto was barely acknowledging him. Yeah, sure you did, said Naruto. He didn't give Sasuke any time to say anything back, as he simply walked away, pretending like Sasuke speaking was something that just didn't happen. As he was gone, Sakura breathed a sigh of relief that all of it was over. She was getting extra help, and she was getting stronger, but that guy with the red hair, he scared her. Yeah, he scared her. Sai glanced over towards Sasuke, who was fuming, but he did not say anything about it though, as they proceeded to make their way off. Time skip. Naruto's interaction with Anko would go as one would expect, given the both of their personalities. The forest was a mess. Trees were destroyed. The ground was upturned. And everything was just chaotic. Anko was flat on her back. Several marks and bruising all over her. She was a mess. As she coughed. Yeah, you are strong, she said with a smile. Standing over her was Naruto. There was not even a scratch on him. Well, he does heal, however. The stronger he got, the more harder it is to pierce his skin. And Anko was not always successful. The both of them met for the first time, and everything went chaotic. Neither remember who threw the first punch. However, the both of their personalities clashed against each other, and Anko couldn't believe it. She lost. Her snakes could not bite his skin. That was the biggest problem. So poison would not have worked. But either way, it would have failed. Time skip. Today was the first exam, as it was a written test. Team 7 made their way inside of the academy. They were greeted after Sasuke got his ass kicked. Something that pissed him off even more. Rock Lee and him came to tussle against each other, and Rock Lee came out on top. Despite the fact that Sasuke had his Sharingan, he was still taken down, which was rather shocking. Well, to him anyway. And instead of feeling inspired, he felt more and more angry. Everyone seemed to be surpassing him. Everyone! And that was pissing him off even more. The first test was to see how good they could actually gather information. Cheat, in other words. Many teams pushed that to its limit, with Gaara using his sand to create the eye, Kiba using Akamaru, Tenten using goddamn mirrors that no one seemed to see. Or perhaps the proctors did, but it was so ingenious that they allow it to slide. So with that, the teams move forward, several of them being disqualified. Meanwhile, Naruto was sitting down. His head was leaning up against a rock. There were several other Chunins nearby. Anko just made her way off, saying that she was going to gather the troops, that being the newly, hopefully, promoted Chunins. This job was incredibly boring. So far, nothing fun or exciting has been happening, and Naruto found it rather boring. Haku was busy. She was with Shizune. Haku not being a genin, she was actually given the rank of Chunin after being tested by Snavi. So yeah, this exam would not bother her in the slightest, as the other Chunins around tried to converse with Naruto. He said a few words here and there. However, he did not care for the lot of them. But it was good to pass the time. Finally, they arrived. However, Anko was the main shine here, as she spoke to them and told them about the rules. Once they were being prepped for the exams, she gathered him and the others. They were going to be spreading out into the forest to make sure that no one stepped out of bounds or that anyone come from any other outside help. They were given the 5 minutes to enter, as Naruto jumped over. Majority of them split up with partners, but Naruto would do fine on his own, not to mention years of being out in the wild. His tracking senses were equal to almost none. He had far better tracking senses than any Inuzaka, any of their dogs, or anyone inside of Konoha. Naruto made his way as he arrived and sat under a tree. So far, the exam has not begun yet. That is when he heard it. The bells went off. Naruto decided to move to a secluded area where he could watch from. He noticed a really tall tree. He headed straight up into it. As he arrived, he used his bare hand to carve out a part of the tree and sit down. He watched as several teams made their way. His eyes were closed. He could sense them like a snake would sense his prey, feeling their body heat. And he could tell the genins moving around. Some of them were strong for genins. The time passed, hours to be quite exact, when a malicious feeling was felt all over. Naruto proceeded towards said feeling. This did not feel like any genin. It did not feel normal in the slightest. So he went to investigate and find out just what the hell this was. Meanwhile, he was heading away. Team 7 was in a bad predicament. Sakura was holding a kunai in her hand. Her whole body was trembling in fear. Sai was embedded in a tree, unconscious, unmoving. Sasuke was on the ground. His neck, something was wrong with his neck as he was holding onto it. What did you do? Sakura screamed at the perpetrator, which turns out to be none other than the malicious Snake Sanin. Orochimaru smiled at the girl. Oh, don't you worry, he said. I just gave Sasuke-kun a little gift. Something that will make him desire more. As he chuckled. Now why don't you go and look after your teammates before you get hurt? Run along now, child, he said. Orochimaru turned. And it was a mistake for not bringing his hand up. Something slammed into him like a train. The Sanin was actually caught off guard. Orochimaru had been suppressing himself to not give away his location. And he was not prepared for what this was. Sakura did not see exactly what happened. One moment the Sanin was standing there, the next moment, whatever hit him and him were gone. Orochimaru broke through 10 trees. The trees in the forest of death were the thickest around. So this was rather tragic. Not to mention what hit him. Shattered several bones in his body. The Sanin found himself in a grove, completely digged out by his own body. Orochimaru was actually baffled. He had multiple broken bones, internal bleeding, as he coughed up blood. The Sanin couldn't believe that he was resorting to doing this, here of all places. His mouth slowly started to get larger and larger as he came crawling out of it. Boom! Something crash landed in front of him. The Sanin raised an eyebrow as he quickly studied the feature of the boy. Seeing the marks, seeing the eyes, he's heard. Naruto. Uzumaki. Or do you prefer Namikaze? Orochimaru said. Naruto was not looking at him though. He was looking at Orochimaru's former body that he had just shed like a snake's skin. You're one disgusting freak. But you're not any genin, and you targeted the kids. So I'm gonna have to bring you in. Orochimaru looked at Naruto. You don't know who I am, do you? Should I care? Said Naruto. Orochimaru chuckled. Well then, let me introduce myself. My name is Orochimaru had to jump. Naruto obliterated the entire place with lightning. I didn't ask for your name, nor do I care. I'm only here to do my mission, so stand still. This is gonna hurt. A lot. Orochimaru smiled. Children like you need to learn their place. With that, he threw himself towards Naruto. He might not show it, but Orochimaru was actually angry. The fact that he was forced to shed his skin. For a child. That truly pissed him off, but he was concealing majority of his emotions. He thought that it was a good idea to punch Naruto with a great amount of force. However, when he felt the vibrations in his hand, he was rather shocked. Naruto punched him instead. The Sanin head snapped to the right. He was baffled. Naruto launched a kick into his stomach. It almost seems like Naruto's feet was gonna burst through his back. Naruto drive both of his hands into Orochimaru's back, causing him to slam across the pavement. He was unresponsive. Naruto jumped down, moving towards him. That is when the Sanin snapped his head up. A snake shot out of his mouth and lodged itself on Naruto's neck. Orochimaru expected Naruto to fall until Naruto grabbed the snake and tore it in half as he tossed it away. It could not pierce his skin. Naruto then slammed his foot into the ground. The whole place vibrated. Raw earth manipulation. The earth started to try to swallow the Sanin. Orochimaru twists and jumps as he flicked away. He looked up as Naruto was above him. Naruto fired several stakes down towards him. Orochimaru deflected and kicked away a few until he realized Naruto could control them. Boom! A blinding explosion threw the Sanin out of mid-air. Orochimaru crashed hard. Naruto landed in front of him and raised his fist. However, Naruto spun and slammed his fist into Orochimaru's guts. The real one. The one underneath him turned into mud. The Sannin coughed up blood as he was blasted away. Orochimaru crashed hard. He lay there for a second unmoving. He was still not using 100%, but the fact that he was getting the shit beat out of him was truly beyond him. The Sannin decided to test something. He knew he had limited time. He regurgitated a blade from his mouth and grabbed the handle. As Naruto was merely walking towards him, two stakes coming out of his hand as he grabbed the both of them. Both of them looked at each other. Their strange, unusual eyes. Before they vanished, it was all sparks. Orochimaru was shocked as his Kusanagi did not right away tear through those stakes. However, as the battle dragged on, the Sannin was noticing something. The boy was getting faster. Not just that, he was predicting his moves, almost like he had the Sharingan. However, as the battle dragged on, Orochimaru noticed something even worse. The boy's moves were anticipating every one of his strikes. That meant Orochimaru was slashed. Naruto's stake tearing through his shoulder, running down to his waist, and the other one carving an X into the Sannin's chest. Orochimaru swung the Kusanagi. Naruto reached up with his bare hand. That is when Orochimaru saw the inside of his palm. They seemed to get rough as Naruto caught said blade. Orochimaru tried to yank it, but Naruto's hand was like a grip, a vice grip. Naruto pointed his fingers towards the Sannin's face. Orochimaru saw what was going to happen. He was forced to release his own blade as he vanished. The bullets, the small little bullets that were made from Naruto's spike, obliterated the tree that Orochimaru had stood in front of. They would have tore right through his skull. Naruto was now holding on to the Sannin blade. "I'm afraid that is not yours," Orochimaru said, landing in front of the boy. Naruto looked at the blade. "Why don't you come and take it?" he said. The Sannin appeared in front of Naruto. However, Naruto reacted despite his upgraded speed. The both of them were moving from branch to branch, clashing against one another. The forest was being ripped, sliced, and torn. They separated as the Sannin lashed out his hand. Many snakes shot from his palm. Naruto held his hand out. His lightning turned into snakes. His body adapted what he saw Anko did, resembling Orochimaru's attack that he had actually taught Anko. Orochimaru's snakes were eviscerated. The Sannin wasn't done though as he fired a compressed blast of air. It slammed Naruto off the branch. However, his body stopped before he could hit the tree. Like a strange mechanism that stopped his body, Orochimaru released a strange gas, taking Naruto's sight out of it. He appeared behind him ready to take his head off until Naruto blocked the new blade that he was holding, that had came from his snake mouth. Naruto used the Kusanagi and sliced right through Orochimaru's blade. It was about to gouge the Sannin eye out. However, he elongated his head at an unusual rate. Naruto threw the Kusanagi. Orochimaru was confused by that. Naruto turned and lashed out with a kick. Orochimaru blocked it as he braced himself. He was thrown away. That is when he heard something as he whipped his head around. Slice! His head was taken off. Orochimaru was baffled as he was sliced by his own Kusanagi, something that he was supposed to have control over. That is when he noticed the stakes. Naruto had somehow embedded his stakes on Orochimaru's blade while he was holding it, allowing him full control, and when he threw the blade he simply called it back towards him. However, the Sannin proved more harder to kill than Naruto thought. "What the hell?" said Naruto, as snakes burst from his head and his shoulder and started to reattach his body. Orochimaru used the control that he had over his blade to yank it towards him. However, Naruto smiled. The stakes exploded, blowing the Sannin away, something that he was not prepared for. Orochimaru crashed through a tree, burn marks all over his face. Naruto jumped down as he caught the Kusanagi, which was still intact. This blade was stronger than he thought. Orochimaru stepped out of the smoke, furious, bloodlusted. He was pissed off, more pissed off than he's ever been. This damn child that was keeping up with him. Naruto pointed Orochimaru's blade back towards him. You won't be leaving this place alive. Screw the order that was given to him. This man deserved to die. He was a freak of nature that seemed like he didn't want to die. However, Naruto was going to prove to him that he can kill anything, even the unkillable. As he said that, his body started to adapt. To what though? Was the big question. However, it was something truly amazing. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and smash that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And comment down below and tell me if you're new so I can welcome you personally. So without further ado or waste no more time, let's get the hell out of here. See you guys soon. Peace.